Recording, that's good, yes? Okay. For those of you who haven't been here before, I'm not always late. But sometimes, like I said, work doesn't cooperate with what you want to get done. But it's kind of necessary, you know, paying bills, eating, having a house to live in. That's kind of important stuff. But anyway, for those of you, if you haven't been here before, my name is Rozell, and I'm the lead investigator for a group, the Whole Region Paranormal Team. And for the last 4 years, I've had the privilege of running Paranormal Nights on the third, well, now it's the third Monday of every month. With the exception of December, we take a vacation in there, well, we take a break anyway. And tonight, usually on Halloween, we do Tales from the Crypt. If anybody remembers, it's kind of a play. Hey Steve, did you ever see that picture before?
No, never.
No. CRiPT meaning Whole Region, small I, Paranormal Team. And actually, our artist friend, Steve Klinger, he's the historian from our team, and he made up a nice cover for me. Pretty good artist, don't you think? But we talk a little bit, we started out 4 years ago where I did explanations on the different things we do and the equipment we use and all that, and then we got into doing more of that during the year where we talked about ghost photography and we talked about EVPs and all that kind of stuff. So now we just talk more about evidence, the stuff that everybody likes to see on TV. The Whole Region Paranormal Team, we got together as a group back in 2010. Truth of the matter is, a couple years before that, the core of us were part of another organization. So we've been together for about 13 plus years, investigating private residents, small and large businesses. We've done Mansfield University. We've done places like the Montour County Courthouse, historical buildings, anywhere that has paranormal activity and wants some answers. That's what we do. We help people. Well, 500, that's old. Probably we're close to 700 investigations as a team, either individually or as a group together. We do a whole bunch of things, but bottom line is we help people. Part of our mission also, we believe, is to educate. And that's what we try to do here with Paranormal Night. We talk about a lot of different things. Tonight we're going to talk about ghosts and ghosties. Picked a good time of year for it, I think. So without wasting a whole lot of time, I guess we'll get to the evidence. What I did was I picked out a bunch of investigations that the team has done. I think the longest there is 2008. I picked out one from the Ely'sburg area, and I don't know the most recent. I'm going to say last year. But we'll start with something, and probably one of the more recent ones, the Berwick Theater. Anybody know where the Berwick Theater is? Anybody know where Berwick is? The Berwick Theater has been there for many years. If you know anything about it, it originally had two theaters side by side. One was destroyed by fire. There were some deaths, some young kids that were killed that were living in one of the apartments above the other theater. And there's stories of all kinds of things. A woman in white that comes down the steps. Has anybody been in the theater? All right, you know where the stairway is up to the balcony. There's a lot of activity on that stairway reported. There's supposedly a woman in white in a gown that comes down there. Kids running up and down the aisles. You can hear audiences clapping at times. These are some of the reports. And we got a phone call to investigate it, and we ended up actually doing it twice. The second time it was on, shameless plug, the Ghost Detectives TV show, which is, by the way, every Saturday going into Sunday on CW 38 at 12:30 in the morning. Just a little plug. But we did get some EVPs or some ghost box evidence that I'm going to let you guys hear what you think, and then I'm going to ask my two friends, my wife Angel and Steve, who are part of my team, to talk a little bit about the investigation, because it really was a good night. This EVP was actually, we were sitting in the back of the theater where the tables are for the concession stand area. And this was the aisle. If you're facing the screen, it would be the aisle going down the left. We were in the back, and if I remember, we were just getting things together. And, no.
Well, that's not dead.
It was.
Did you hear the in the background? One more time.
Well, that's not dead.
It was.
We were all there. We were just getting our equipment together, and I was dropping things as normal. And somebody was trying to get our attention before we even got started. So we kind of knew that that was the beginning of an interesting evening. There was nobody else in the theater. In fact, the folks who ran it, it was before it was a nonprofit. They kind of left us on our own.
Could you hear that voice with your ears, or was that just on digital recording that you heard later?
Was that an EVP?
Yeah, we didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, where we didn't hear it. I'll point out in some of the later ones the difference. You'll see me indicate an EVP or a disembodied voice. Even if it's a sound, I refer to it as a disembodied voice because it's a sound or phrasing that you can't put any physical presence to. Some people have also called it an AVP, an actual voice phenomenon, but I'm old school. This one was heard behind the screen.
Tempting, huh? Yeah. I'm gonna put here and sit for a bit.
Same one. Same yell, little laughter there. And that was behind the screen when we were up towards the front. It's unique because it's the same exact sound. Okay, Rich, that's all done. You can stop now.
Come on, you're too quiet. Nobody just hear that? No, it was over here.
Did you hear the guy again?
Something.
More sounds?
No, that sound is steady and come on, you're too quiet. Nobody just hear that? No, it was over here.
I thought it was something.
No, that sound is steady in the concession stand. It was behind that sound.
There's been reports of lots of activity behind the concession stand. I guess they went into the candy before they were ready to open. But we were here, Angel was back there with a junior member we had at the time. Yeah, she was still a junior member back then. And they were hearing a lot of taps, a lot of noises. If I remember, the door in the back of it is reported to open itself and close by itself. Unfortunately, it didn't when we were there, but
I
So-
think I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask. These locations are empty of everyone other than your team when you're doing this, correct?
90% of the times, yes.
Okay.
Residentials, we usually have the family or the client with us.
Mhm.
We usually don't allow more than 2 members of the family to be with us. We don't allow children, and we don't allow animals, because it's hard to control the atmosphere that we're in.
That's what I was
To
wondering.
be honest with you, we won't investigate if it's outside of those parameters. If people can't that evening, then we won't investigate because I can't control the atmosphere.
Sure.
And it's not fair to the team to put the time in with that contamination. It's not fair to you guys because I can't give you a true answer. In this case, the Berwick Theater was totally empty except for the team.
Fair enough.
Transparent. And you'll know once you get off the computer, you see that ball on top of your head. Right. It's understanding.
I have no idea who said that.
Right.
Right. It was as if somebody was trying to get into the two conversation. And again, this was before we had even started investigating. We were still getting equipment together. In fact, that was when my wife and I had a disagreement over a battery. She won.
Those clever people.
Alrighty,
Right after the time.
you ready?
Ready.
Ready, is it?
One something. I have a quarter after one. Yep, that's it.
Early in the morning.
Listen, one more time, right after I ask what the time is, and somebody says about it being 1 after, or something, a little after 1 in the morning.
Those clever people.
Alrighty. You ready?
Ready.
Ready, is it?
One something. I have a quarter after one. Yep, that's it.
Early in the morning.
What's my name? What did that say? That's spooky.
Yeah.
Angel, is it spooky when it calls your name?
Could you play it again, please?
Sure. Right after you hear me say, and they say something after 1 o'clock.
Those clever people.
Alrighty. You ready?
Ready.
Ready, is it?
One something. I have a quarter after one. Yep, that's it.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, I did too.
Some more for you from the Berwick Theater.
Can you tell me how many entities besides the group that came with me are here tonight? Was that 5?
That was with, you hear the radio in the background.
Is there 5?
That's called a ghost box. It's a radio that's set to scan frequencies very rapidly with the belief that they will utilize the snippets of sound and the white noise in order to form words. And what's the chances of them coming out with 5 when I ask how many, the number? That actually becomes important later on in the investigation.
Would you prefer that we leave? Do you want us to leave now?
If you listen very carefully, there's multiple answers. Do you know how many? 5. By the way, the overall majority was 3 yeses to 2 nos, so we stayed. If there had been more no's, we would have left. We would have respected their wishes and we would have left. But yeah, Again, what's the chances of getting on a radio, scanning frequencies that rapidly? Yes, yes, no, no. And different voices, different tones, and different volumes.
Want to do one more group of us checking out the building and seeing what else we can see and hear and talk to. And here's what.
We asked permission to stay, and they said yes.
Can you say Renee? She's the person that runs this place now.
If you listen very carefully after I say, can you hear Renee, you'll hear Renee.
Can you say Renee? She's the person that runs this place now.
Renee Bauer, who's the granddaughter of, is it Tony? They used to run the theater, own it? Vince, I'm sorry, Vince. Vince, that used to have the tuxedo shop and all of that, and she took it over when he passed away and kept it going and turned it into the nonprofit, got, well, you know. But, again,
Does she recognize the voice?
yes. Oh, as far as who it is?
Mm-hmm. It's her family, you know.
Yeah, when we did the reveal, and she asked me not to play those sections of it, there were sections of the recordings that were directly related to her grandfather, and we stopped the reveal at that point because
I figured it had to
She,
be someone in the
It
family.
got too
quite emotional.
emotional to her.
Yeah.
Steve, you like popcorn, don't you?
I do.
If you like popcorn,
Good question. Back to food. Steve, back to food.
right, why did they make popcorn?
All it said was no. Steve always has a food question. I don't get it.
Have us say our name. Can you repeat any one of our names? That way I'll know you're here. My name is Rick.
My name is Steven.
Pearl, Lisa,
Joe.
Rebecca, Donna, Megan, Angel.
Can you say one of those names?
It says Angel again, and in fact, in the beginning, I thought it said Rich. Not sure. I'm gonna listen. You know,
Have us say our name. Can you repeat any one of our names? That way I'll know you're here. My name is Rick.
My name is Steven.
is that Rich?
Pearl, Lisa,
Joe.
Rebecca, Donna, Megan, Angel.
Can you say one of those names?
Angel has a bad habit of having it call her name.
It's not my habit.
This is that stairway I was talking about. These pictures were taken very close together. You can tell by just different angles. I'm not a big one on orbs. You guys know that. But this was the source of a lot of activity. See the mist at the bottom of the stairs? The woman in the white dress? The two globes there and a brighter one up on top. I'd love to do
The reason we took that picture was because we came down the steps and felt someone following us.
Thank you. Later on, different angles, same stairway, globe in the same proximate areas. Steve and I posing for the camera. And in the background, by the concession stand, by the stairs. When something happens repetitively like that throughout an evening, I have to pay attention to it, even though, like I said, you guys who have been here know I'm not a big one on orbs.
Wouldn't you think if it was dust or something explainable, it would be in more of the photos too, right? I mean,
That's part of it, the fact that it's in an area that has a lot of other activity. It had, we had temperature changes on that, we had all of those pictures, we had personal experiences, we had the history of the reported on that stairway. You put all that together and you have to start thinking that there's something more to it than just coincidence.
Sure.
I do discount, and we as a team discount probably 90% of those type of globes of light as refractions of moisture or dust, or echo off of an IR light, another IR light, or reflection, or things like that.
Are there two globes there? Is there another one, a smaller one, down at the doorway?
I thought there was just a shine off the metal.
No, there's a shine right off of the, you're right.
Metal
right
doorway.
off the metal for the door going out, yeah. But there's no metal or anything
Yeah.
up on that wall. I love that mural on the back, by the way, the Charlie Chaplin
Yeah.
one mural. Residents in Shamokin, and no, there isn't any special thing in that picture, it's just, I couldn't find a picture of the outside of the house that I could show that didn't have the address, so I didn't show it. This is 2010. This was another busy night.
Is there something you'd like to say to Angel?
That was a Ghostbusters.
Would you like to talk to Karen?
No. Shh, don't tell Karen I said that.
Yeah. You okay? Yeah. Did you just make him come from over home? No. I wasn't her.
Oh my God, you hear it?
Yeah.
I heard it. I thought it was her, I thought somebody.
I thought you might want to kind of. Nope. Okay.
That was 3 investigators that were down in between a living room and a dining room. And they were the only 3 down there. And you heard them communicating back and forth, and you could hear the one was further off. And somebody must have been bored with you guys. That was you, Lisa, and Karen, right? You weren't making dust orbs or anything, were you? I'll tell you that story later.
On the count of 3, please give us some indication of your presence. 1, 2, 3. Karen, was that you?
No.
Where do you hear that? Is anybody walking in the attic just right before we communicated here?
Negative, neither one of us are walking at all.
Thank you. Well, that was a pretty definite sound. You heard that too, Bear, right?
Gary, her husband, was on the 2nd floor, and there were 2 of us up in the attic, and they were downstairs, and nobody said in the hall, because there was no hall there. There was upstairs. and those 3 knocks, we were getting a lot of knocks that night, a lot of knocks, a lot of voices, a lot of... How would you like to be living in that house? No? You wouldn't want to live in a haunted house?
No, freak me out.
Did I see they're doing a haunted house at the Armory?
Yeah.
Who bought that?
Lee
Fixed it all?
Benjamin? Lee Benjamin.
And fixed it all up?
Mhm.
Looking good. I want to investigate that place.
I bet you get hits for sure.
When I was in the Guard in Scranton, we used to come down here for inspections all the time and always wondered.
Is there someone here who caused Lisa and Angel to feel uncomfortable and to have pain in their heads?
Somebody like nothing.
Question is that a yes or a no?
You know, and that's the difficulties. We hadn't planned on that kind of communication. If we had, we would have set the parameters, not once for yes, 2 for no. We were actually working on the EVP or the disembodied voice side of it because we had already been getting all kinds of things like that and the breath, and they chose another method.
Do you know what year it is?
I don't know if that's 1895 or 1995. It was an older home, and in Shamokin it's possible. But again, what are the chances? 95. If it was the same tone of voice, I might give some credence that it's a radio station giving out a call frequency or something. But the fact that they were both there together, 2 separate voices, 2 separate tones and volumes, and it just happens to answer, at least appears to answer the questions being asked. Like I say, if you can't explain it by normal means, it must be paranormal. Not that it's time to leave, but the spirits always let us know when it's time. Oh, my disclaimer, this is made for Facebook or for YouTube, so it's got all the production in the beginning with the sound effects and spooky and...
Is it time for us to leave? If you think that we should go home, if we've taken up enough of your time, give us an indication.
This just...
They all went off.
Yeah.
Okay. We thank you very much for communicating with us. It doesn't get much clearer than that.
I don't think there was any doubts there whatsoever that they had just been done with us. And with all the activity that we had there that evening, we were more than ready. I like that.
Do you think there are spirits that want to be there, or do you think they're still trapped in this world?
That's a good question. It's a question we usually ask. Are you here because you want to be here or because you don't have any choice? I don't know about those particular spirits. We were able to determine, obviously there is activity in the house. We were able to determine that it was not of any, it didn't have any malintent for the house or the people that live there. We help them set some boundaries with the spirits that reside there. And I never got a call back, or we didn't get a call back at all. So I'm assuming that there isn't any difficulties, because we always leave the door open, that if they have any continued difficulties or questions, to give us a call. And there have been houses we've been back to, I think the most was 3. That house in Catawissa. I threw these in the middle because I ran out of time, because I talk a lot. Anybody familiar with Shamokin at all? Studio 207, it's a hair salon right down from Bader's Furniture, Bader's Fine Furniture. The one on the left is from Studio 207, it's on their 2nd floor. She uses that room as a photo studio. And Karen, who is one of the founders, was in taking random pictures with an infrared camera, and appears to be somebody leaving the room. On the right-hand side,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, that's okay.
I should have shut that off before I came
On the right-hand side is a residence on Lincoln Street in Shamokin. And the lady that's sitting on the floor is a psychic medium, and she had just pointed at that doorway and said, somebody's walking out of the room now. And walking next to Gary, who's the other founder of our group, is that human-shaped question mark mist shadow. It was not visible to the human eye. I was sitting on the floor over on this side, and Karen and Angel, I think, were over by me. But something went out. That was when Chief 45 showed up at the house, remember? They saw all the flashes from the cameras and dispatched the fire department and the police. That used to happen a lot to Karen, wherever we went. See, I told you I like the different ones. I'm trying to think, was this the...
We did that one.
It went backwards. Well, that's not right. Now we'll go the other way. These are 2 oh, we did that. This is Studio 207, this is the massage room. They have, I don't know if they still do, but they had a massage therapist, had the table, put you on, give you a therapeutic massage, that kind of thing. And Gary was taking pictures, again, with an infrared camera, pointing into the room. That's Gary's arm there. There was nobody else in the room, because if you were what?
I was.
Were you in the room?
Yes.
You must have been over here. The room is extremely small. That was taken right after. Anybody notice there's no legs? But it appears to be somebody bending over the table or on the table.
And we didn't see them.
Side by side. That's why we use different types of cameras. We use regular cameras, that you would buy in the store. We use infrared cameras. We use full spectrum that do both ultraviolet, normal light, and IR. With the idea that sometimes they're not in the same phase as we are, if you will, or same plane, and they can't be seen by IRs. Kind of like a dog can hear levels above ours. That's why we use different cameras. Mine. There's a place up in New York called Rolling Hills Asylum. I've seen it on several of the national TV shows. This is the hallway up looking outside of the special treatment room where they did electroshock therapy and lobotomies and stuff like that. This is looking down the hallway. My wife Angel took it with her IR camera. And there's less than a minute, because I even timed them, but there's less than a minute in between. I took this with a full spectrum camera. Side by side. Nothing there. The other camera shows it. Probably because of the using the ultraviolet light. That's my favorite picture. Northumberland, Pennsylvania, down in downtown, there's a place called the Townside Garden Cafe. It's a little cafe. They do a lot of salads, a lot of health food. We've investigated there 2 different times. Only because we did it when we were with the old group, and then we went back and did it with our group. Megan was our she's not a little girl anymore, she just turned 21, Jesus. But she was our first and only junior member. She went to training classes with us and everything else when she was 15, 14?
I think about 14.
Yeah. And she was our ghost magnet. If we put her and Angel in a room, we got ghosts. This night, this one room, and I'll get into the knocks later, but this one room, we got nothing. The rest of us would go into this room and got nothing. Megan and Angel went in the room, and we were getting knocked. And I didn't put the best knocks in, but we were getting bangs on the walls and EV. So.
Megan's attention.
That beginning says, actually Angel was asking, are you trying to get Megan's attention? And we're done.
Megan's attention.
That voice actually came up a few times that evening.
It kind of sounds like water flowing.
I don't remember, I think it was raining out. And you guys were near the front part of that restaurant that looks out, it has the glass windows, weren't you?
That was upstairs.
Was that upstairs? But the windows are right there.
Yeah.
It probably was raining that night. That was 7, 8 years ago. I'm old. I don't.
Either that or the fan was on.
See, I didn't like the rest of those, so I said that.
Gave you permission to talk to her, whisper in her ear,
That didn't happen.
pull her hair, and touch us.
Same voice. The other stuff in the background you heard was the ghost box going, and I really didn't get anything that I could apply to it, but somebody was answering the girls.
Girl here?
Hi.
Hi.
Girl here? Girl here?
I don't know what that was. You think a high? Sometimes we can't quite tell what it is. It's a different sound, it's unusual, it's abnormal. Again, the idea with the light frequency being different that we can't see sometimes. Picture a radio that isn't quite on frequency. What's the sounds like? It's bright. Is that good?
Yeah, not very good.
Thank you. I'm taking him with me. Bangs.
I just heard something in this room.
This was after about all that other stuff was going on downstairs, and Angel and Megan were upstairs, so if you heard a little panic in her voice, she began to wonder what the heck was going on because the rest of us weren't getting a thing. I have no idea. My bangs are gone.
Tony, I'm getting tired of that.
It's not right here.
No, I know it's not right. Tony, I'm getting tired of that.
It's not right here.
I must have clipped
No, I
them
know it's
short,
not
but
right.
there's another set of bangs there. There were 3 or 4 bangs. Nobody was in the building.
Guardian Angel, could you know that it would make her leave?
Those were the kind of bangs we were getting from this room all night long. There's the thing. None of us in the rest of that second floor heard those sounds. They heard them in that room. The reporter picked them up. We were in other rooms up there and didn't hear them. Downstairs, didn't hear them. And we were the only ones in the building. Goldsboro, Pennsylvania, not Goldsboro, Pennsylvania, Goldsboro, Pennsylvania, outside of the Harrisburg area. In fact, about a block from this house, you could see 3 Mile Island across the river. Some people remember 3 Mile Island? This was another, keep doing that. I tried to do the angle off of the lights. Those backup lights were my first guess that that's what it was. It's not because of the angles that it comes from. I had 2 or 3 other people try and... The only thing I can come up with is it was early in the morning, it was cold out, and maybe ground mist, although it hadn't rained in quite a while. And then when you add it to this, Dave was taken by me, bang, bang, right in a row. Normal camera on the left, and you can even see the clock for the time. And full spectrum camera on the right. Where'd that come from? If you can't explain it by normal means,
Must be parent.
must be paranormal.
I'm learning.
Hey, come on. Now, you didn't do this at home. We'll do the other one first.
What are you afraid of? What are you hiding from?
See the K2 meter?
Does that mean you're not afraid of anything? Is this your last goodbye?
Sorry, it's hard for us to figure out exactly what you were answering there, and you need to make it clear for us. Were you answering that yes, you're afraid? Were you responding to Rich? Or were you indicating that you want this to be your last response and we should leave? I find it. Okay. I thank you very much. We will honor what it is that you're asking. It's very impressive that before you lit up everything and now you're managing with everything so close to light only one of those
Two.
devices. Oh, was there something?
This one over here.
Oh, okay. 2 of them were going off.
Let's try this one again. Oh, sure, now I get it. What was interesting about that evening, like I said, it was pretty, with the mist and everything else, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of K2 hits that responded. And we had a reporter from the Patriot News in Harrisburg with us that night. I like that. That's origami, by the way. Bored yet? No? Private residence, Healdsburg, PA, 2008. The owners of this house were a husband and wife. They had an older daughter that lived with them. And the team that went up to do, the way we conduct our investigations is we do a phone interview first. And then depending on how the phone interview goes, we'll do a face-to-face and a walkthrough of the house. And when they did the walkthrough of the house, they found out that the daughter had a Ouija board. Okay. Now, first of all, I'm not a fan of Ouija boards. But do you know what the problem is with Ouija boards? What people do with them. Is all as it is a piece of wood with a piece of plastic that people do whatever on. But it's a game. Entertainment only. But what people do with it is what the problem is. But anyway, she had a Ouija board and they said, hey, you need to get rid of this. Don't burn it, don't, just get rid of it. She threw it in the river.
Oops.
It was a couple of days later that it was about 2 months later when they were going to go up and do the investigation. I don't know why it took so long, but it took about 2 months between the walkthrough and the investigation. And the day of the investigation, the lead investigator and the director of this group were at the Danville boat dock fishing. And guess what washed up on the shore? Was that girl's Ouija board still in the same box. Coincidence? I'm not a big one on coincidence, but...
Can I ask you why you say not to burn a Ouija board? I've heard that before, but...
the idea is that if it was used to open a session and you don't close the session, burning it destroys any possibility of closing the session.
Oh, I see.
And I know that I said last time, when you were...
And I didn't say that, they did.
Yeah, I've heard that.
When you were doing the Ouija board
That's what,
thing,
yes.
is when I said that the Ouija board is only evil when you apply it as evil, or it'll be good as you apply it as good.
It's just like magic. There's no such thing as good magic or magic. Magic exists. It's what the intent is of the individual. One on the left was taken in May of 2008. See that little ball on the bottom? That's not a ball. That's an orb. 3 months later, during the investigation, sitting on that chair that's there is actually it happened to be the lead investigator. And see what's sitting right in his lap? What's the chances? Is it something? I don't know. I mean, they had a lot of activity that night. This was a house that had an electric doorbell that would go off, although the doorbell wasn't hooked up. That's actually the second time we had that. We had it happen at Monroe City House. This is creepy. Do you believe that ghosts can appear the way they want to appear?
I do.
There's nobody outside on that patio. See the lady sitting at the table looking? She didn't see it. She's the owner of the house. She's a licensed psychologist.
Was that a regular camera or?
That was a regular camera with a flash, and that's why you see the flash there, and all I did was blow it up there.
Digital camera.
Yep.
It seems like you guys have a great sense of humor.
Yeah, I like that.
This one liked to play games. See, again, the theory is that if you're a practical joker in life, you're going to be a practical joker in death. If you're a mean person living, you're going to be mean in death. Private residence in New Video. We were actually back there twice. Listen. That's something wrong with my mini cam. Did you hear me ask if everybody was ready? There were no females on the second floor. Sorry. The second one, you heard a breath in that hallway. Same area. We actually, and I forgot to include it, we had music coming from the attic. Somebody singing and playing a guitar. But we had cameras and recorders up there, and there was nothing in the attic. I forgot to include that. I never did figure out what song that is. Not that.
I see the follow. You follow Dave. Come on, you can follow him. He's going that way.
Watch your beat box.
Look at that. That's nuts. That's crazy.
There was no heat on. There was no breeze. The windows were closed.
All right, we're gonna go. Come on downstairs at the spot. That's nuts, isn't it?
That's the owner of the house.
Freaks me out.
The guy with the big voice, that's my tech manager. He's a quiet sort. We all went downstairs to conduct a group EVP down in the living room.
What is it?
It's a fish. It's a plastic fish that's on a string.
Oh.
This is why we're downstairs. There's no stimulation in the room. It sat there. Didn't move. You misspelled difference.
Yeah.
Don't talk.
I was telling Steve that when us girls were in there, we would ask a question, and it would turn to answer the question.
We're here tonight? I guess that's no.
No, I say no.
Do you like that we're here trying to talk to you? Is it a good thing that we're giving you a chance to talk to us?
That's TV.
That's what we're over there.
Who would you like to lead? Would you like Joe to lead?
I keep forgetting. Why do I show that clip?
What about Dave? Would you like Dave to lead?
Dave is the father and the owner.
Why would you want Dave to lead? Does Dave scare you? Does it bother you that Monica is here? Maybe you don't like girls in this room. I know you wouldn't want me to lead, would you? Would you like me to lead? My name is Rich. Can you tell me what year you were born? Do you want me to turn the box off now? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. All right, then I will. Here we go.
I noticed later, if you listen carefully, very faintly, there's or no. Shameless plug again. If this is the full version, I'll knock it off, but we did an EVP session in the living room in the evening, and it went on for quite a while, where the box, between the box and the K2 meter, it kept on answering our questions.
That was really cool, Danny. That's why
You're irritated.
Oh, you're in trouble.
That's like, you're also a smartass.
I think I had a rapport with what was ever there, but it wasn't the best rapport in the world.
Is it okay if I turn this up?
Yeah.
No, I'm just talking to Ed. Dave, I know your son's a NASCAR fan. Okay. I thought we had more people for some reason. Well, we've been talking to you most of the evening, and you've shown us some really neat stuff to let us know. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, calm down for a minute. I got my spiel I got to go through. It's my job. Please? Thanks. And we just want you to know we appreciate all the things you've done to let us know that you're here. And the family that lives here, they appreciate that this may have once been your house. They appreciate the fact that you're comfortable here. But like Angel and Danielle spoke about before, there's some rules. And the rules are that this is their house now. And 3 o'clock in the morning is not exactly the appropriate time to tell them that you're here. Slamming the door.
This goes on for about another 10 minutes, but that's what it was like all the way through it.
3 o'clock.
But what I was showing, and that's why I let it go, is that we tried to set boundaries with them. They were turning on the radio at 3 o'clock in the morning, the one downstairs, and they are upstairs. And we're not talking a little bit, a lot of it. This particular house is adjacent to a church, and in the backyard is a cemetery. So, yeah. It was, again, an interesting evening. This is a residence in Bloomsburg. These are just short clips. This actual session that I took the short clips only because Angel won't let me show the whole thing, went about a half hour to 45 minutes of constant ghost box hits. The trigger, the HTO, the trigger object was getting responses. EVPs were coming through. And it was constant. I walked away and the thing started beeping and buzzing and carrying on. Then it would stop. I walked back. It was like it was whatever was there. It was a child's playroom where all the toys were. So it must have been a little child and enjoyed having. I sat down on the floor and it worked. We had 2 or 3 groups that went through that same room earlier in the evening and nothing. Sometimes they pick out an investigator that they had claimed to. Was it the father thing? In my case, the grandfather thing? Who knows? But here's some shorter clips of that.
Can you tell me if you know that you're dead? If you do know you're dead, can you tell me what year you died?
That still amazes me. When we're doing that, I asked him dead, and 4 different times the word dead comes in. I asked for a year, 33. That happened to be the year that the house was built. It was 1933, so I don't know if that's attached into that or not. Okay? Same house. Same ghost box. I forget what I was saying, but I was getting answers. You see the light in the background? That lit up, that was hooked up to a drum, to a metal drum.
You like green,
Angel.
do you? Good so. Can you step away from the drum? Please? Please step away from the drum. Thank you.
This was the old music I used.
I'm going to take some pictures and then we'll call it good night. Okay? Back away. Please back away from the lights. Come on.
That was Joe.
Huh.
Well, they can go with you.
That was the owner of the house.
No.
She got
Okay.
a real faint
Hopefully
yell.
you'll let me take your picture.
Well, they can go with you.
No.
Well, they can go with you.
No.
I cut it off. 9 for an hour. And like I said, that's another one Angel won't let me show them. Why won't you let me show it for an hour?
Oh, for an hour.
Montour County Courthouse. We've done that once or twice. Once for the team.
If you don't want to interact with us here in this room, I have a younger daughter up on the 3rd floor. Her name is Megan Penybook. Whisper her name into her ear.
Hear the high? Coincidence? That's my magnet, by the way. This was in, has anybody ever been in the Montour County Courthouse? This is the downstairs hallway with a static camera. One more time. Actually, we get some yells. Something about being electronics. Huh. We got some yells. Two other ones that I couldn't get loud enough. And Steve, you'll remember the knocks. We did the old knock game, knock, knock, shave and haircut. And from the back right-hand corner, which was actually the door to the old courtroom, we got knocks back at us. We were getting knocks from above. And the thing is that there's nothing above except there's no attic or anything, it's just ceiling. So yes, the Montour County Courthouse has ghosts. So does Columbia County. You know what that means? I'm out of evidence. But the thing is that I've shown you a couple of the things over the years that we found. Fortunately, most of our team, oh, watch, I'm going to turn on the lights. But, Steve, what was your favorite investigation?
I don't know. We were at a site near Washingtonville called the Bill Meyer Estate. And Bill Meyer in the 1800s was part of a lumber family. He was connected with, I think the Danville mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, Mill Street, the mill that used to be down on the river in Washingtonville, that was his mill.
Oh, yes. And I was in the basement with what was my wife and another one of our investigators. And we could hear someone coming down the steps. And you could actually see, when you're in a basement, you see dust on the steps get kicked up as someone steps on them. We actually saw the dust getting kicked up on steps, but no one was actually walking down them. So, I instantly had two girls climb up my back, like I was going to protect them. And at that one moment, I realized there's nothing I can do to save you. I don't know what to do either. So that was an interesting experience, because I've never seen, I've heard things and footsteps at various sites, like the Joseph Priestley House when I was a tour guide, but I've never actually seen physically the dust getting kicked up from a ghostly footprint.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
And not seen, a physical person. So that was I think one of my more interesting experiences. But some of our experiences happen when we're not even investigating. I know I was at home when my daughter was really young. I was trying to get some recordings of her voice because I knew her voice was cute. And one of the best DVPs I ever got in my life was just trying to get her to talk and sing a song. And I got an EVP out of nowhere running my audio of my daughter. So that was disturbing. And then, like, if I go on a vacation, I go to interesting places, like a lot of ghost hunters do. And I went to New Orleans this last month, and at Myrtle's Plantation, I'm getting a picture of my daughter in front of a haunted mirror, like any normal ghost hunter parent. And descending the staircase at Myrtle's Plantation, which is known for having the ghost of Chloe, I have a boy peering over the banister of the stairwell, the staircase, where the one gentleman supposedly had died. And then while in the French Quarter, my ex-fiance was taking pictures of various buildings for the architecture, and there's a building called the Absinthe House, and it's known for President Andrew Jackson had got the pirate Jean Lafitte to agree to let him use his ships and his men to fight the British during the Battle of New Orleans, and it was supposedly at that site is where they had that meeting. So we were taking a picture of the building at a 3/4 angle, and we got an incredible shot of something flying out of the building. And we took 2 shots, and the one has the object flying out of the building, and the second one is a perfect shot of the building itself.
Angel. Favorite investigation or experience?
I don't know if I have a favorite investigation experience. Would be we were investigating a place in the Coal Ranges, since I get confused up there. I don't know one town from another one. But we were in a residence, and I was upstairs, and I got pain in my chest, and immediately knew that the woman had died from breast cancer. And had that confirmed from the family, and that was awesome.
That's the same when we got that EVP or that ghost box hit in her bedroom. Just, we asked if she was sorry that she wasn't alive, and she said, just kill me. I imagine if I was dying a slow death of cancer, that's what I think sometimes too. I guess my favorite investigation, that's tough. Probably favorite place is a place called the Knickerbocker Hotel. It's in Linesville, Pennsylvania. I've been there probably 8 times. In fact, we'll be going back in about a week and a half. And it has never failed to have activity in the house. It's not an overrun, it's a family-owned hotel. It was a boarding house for a short time. It's basically been in the same family since it was constructed. There was a short period of time of about 10 years where they lost the building to another family, and then the present owner purchased it back, and a lot of activity. I invite you to look on Ghost Detectives page, ghostdetectives.tv, and also our website, our website, coalregionghost.com. See, it says it up there somewhere. There's a lot of evidence from that location, as well as a lot of other houses that we've done. Mansfield University was an experience. We did 2 different buildings up there. The North Hall, which has the Sarah, supposedly. By the way, there was no Sarah, but made a nice story anyway. My historian did the research on that and found out that it could not possibly done. Oh, my historian's back there, by the way. The era of time that Sarah supposedly fell down the well of the middle of the building could not have possibly happened, because in that period of time, the floors were closed off because of fire regulations. So
what they claim happened, that she fell to her death, could never have really happened. Is there a haunting? Yes.
But I don't think it discredits the experiences people have.
That's what I meant is there a haunting there? Absolutely, there's activity there. And I forget the name of the theater that's next to it. They just redid it about a year ago. We were the last ones in there before they had to gut it because it had asbestos and all that. And that was a very interesting night. Plus the fact that it's up in the middle of nowhere and going home at 3 o'clock in the morning from Mansfield is not a fun drive home. But anyway, do you guys have any stories or ghosts or thoughts? What brings you here tonight? No one wants to talk. Go ahead.
A few years back, I went up to Penhurst Asylum when we were doing their haunted attractions, but ever since I set foot in there, I kept getting dizzy spells and passing out. And when I left the area, I was fine. I managed to pull through enough, just enough to enjoy the rest of the haunted houses. The first house through, I passed out halfway through.
That was in the haunted house in the admin building.
Yeah, but I'm usually good at attractions like those because just hours prior we had gone to Field of Screams and I was fine. And when we went through Penhurst, first haunted house attraction we went through, I passed out in one of the most tamest areas, and once I was pulled out of that area, I was feeling better. And I was getting dizzy again when we went through the actual haunted area, the tour area. I was feeling dizzy. I realized why when one of my friends pulled up one of the pictures they were randomly taking when we were walking through. There was a graffiti of a satanic goat thing on the one back wall that I was walking past.
There's a lot of break-ins into the Penhurst facility over the years. People break into those buildings all the time. For 2 years, I frequented Penhurst and ran a company I do work with, ran public investigations, and because of that we got into a lot of the buildings that you don't normally. First of all, it's a horrific history that exists in Penhurst. From a spirit standpoint, it's not a very nice place. I don't know how many times I've been there, but you're right, it is not a nice place. And just if you look at the history and you know the history of the place, it's very emotional and it's very it's heavy. It's heavy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you, any of you on your team first of all, I guess, do you always have friendly spirits? Have you had any malevolent spirits? Yeah, bad spirits.
I will say in 10 plus years of investigating, I've been part of one investigation where the woman downstairs that called us was reporting a lot of activity, things coming out of cabinets, all kinds of stuff. And when we investigate a place like that, we also got access to the second floor apartment and found an altar. The gentleman was, excuse the term please, but was practicing black magic. He was summoning is what he was, and that's about as dark as you can get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't actively practicing. He was practicing is what he was doing. He was experimenting with stuff he shouldn't experiment with. And he welcomed some stuff in that he shouldn't have. We had people scratch that night. It was not a very nice night. And we did do a cleansing in the ceiling, and he subsequently welcomed it back in again, and we refused to go back. First time, okay. Second time,
I think it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt.
You know, I can't find any good reason to play with something that's evil. The world has enough evil in it, you don't have to go looking to bring more into it.
Because you never know what's on the other side.
You know, when it comes to evil, yeah, I know what's on the other side, and I don't want to be any part of it.
Well, I sure don't know what's on the other side, and I sure don't want to find out what's on the other side.
But I can appreciate it, and I know what you're saying, yeah. Pennhurst, we've had some experiences, especially going into the Quaker building, which a lot of the molestation, a lot of the experimentation took place. And I don't know if it's the atmosphere, the history of the place, or there's something there, but it's not a place that we went in twice and I wouldn't go back.
I was just going to tell you 2 quick stories about Gettysburg. I'm sure you have a lot about Gettysburg.
I'll tell one when you're done.
Quick stories. Well, one was, well, my wife and I have made several trips there through the years because I'm sort of a Civil War buff, and so is she. But anyway, we stayed at a bed and breakfast right on the square in Gettysburg. It's right by where the Abraham Lincoln statue is there. So there's a bed and breakfast right there. It's a red building, and that's where we stayed. Long story short, next morning, after we went to bed, we came downstairs for breakfast, and the innkeeper says, well, how did you sleep last night? I think that was a loaded question to begin with, but we didn't know that at the time. And I said, well, we actually slept pretty good, except for the kid running around upstairs. We were trying to go to sleep, and there was this toddler running back and forth like chasing a ball or something. That went on for a period of time. Finally stopped, and she said, sir, there's no toddler above you. There's an older man and woman that are staying in the apartment above you. There's no child up there. Well, we heard a child running back and forth and back and forth. So, and then the other quick story is, I got a really unique picture. I wish I had it with me at Devil's Den. It was in the evening, well, after dark. I think the park's open until 10, and we were probably there about 9:30. And I just took a picture of the rock formations, and I got this huge white mist with my digital camera in front of the rock formations. No images of people,
Right.
but just the mist was enough to know that if I had taken a picture of something I couldn't explain.
They can't explain.
Yeah.
My story is real simple. The Ghost Detectives, you guys know that I'm production manager, and it's a locally produced TV show that I'm in. And the team went to Gettysburg to film at several haunted locations. Jenny Waite's house, the Tilly Pierce, the orphanage, I forget where, but a number of places over 7 days, and captured absolutely nothing. Only the Ghost Detectives could go to Gettysburg and not find anything.
They knew you were coming, huh?
It's just, you know, that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
I think they just mess with people that can't show evidence, and when you do bring in the cameras and all the microphones and stuff, they're like, can't tell them everything.
You know, I don't know. All I know is there's something after where I am right now, and I don't know what it is, and I guess that's what keeps me looking.
Did you investigate the Priestley house, or was that just what he mentioned earlier about just a visit there?
No, we've never been able to get into the we've never been able to get into the Priestley house. He's ignoring me.
Okay.
We've tried, and the board hasn't been real cooperative with the whole thing.
They had an event there last month, I think, and my husband and I went down. It was pretty neat.
At the house?
Yeah.
We've done the library, but never the house.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's one of the places I'd like to do. There's a lot.
We talked to the tour guide, and she said, yeah, you hear things sometimes. She's didn't admit to seeing anything.
Where's the front of the library? This over here? Over here? There's a building over here that I'd love to do.
The Jackson
Oh,
Mansion.
yeah.
I'll keep at the board. Eventually they'll give in.
Have you ever done any investigations in Jim Thorpe?
We did the jail.
Any success there?
Did you know there's no actual proof that they were hung there?
Yes, I've heard that.
There is proof that they were in prison there. There is proof that they were kept in the reefer at the railroad station, but there is no documentation whatsoever that the Molly McGuires were ever hung at the jail courtyard. The folks that own the jail, by the way, you know it's privately owned, right? They're very good at marketing the jail.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's what we found.
That's,
And I'm not sure about the imprint. I have a picture of it.
I saw the imprint when I was like 9 years old, and it's still there.
Did you go with us that time?
I've been there twice.
What do you think?
Well, I know Penn State did test the handprint compared to the wall next to it, and so far, chemically, it's identical to the regular wall. So there was no difference between where the handprint is to where the handprint isn't. Do I think it's paranormal? Maybe, I don't know. The guy they attribute it to is a guy named Alan Campbell, but it's very well written about, and if you go through the newspaper accounts, he was never in that cell. So, was it Alan Campbell? No, it was not. But maybe one of the other Molly McBrides.
And how stories, legends, urban legends get changed and adapted and
Fill in the gaps to
Trying to
make
get
it a
into
great
the
story.
Asa Packer mansion down there. Ever been in the Asa Packer?
No, but I know somebody that just
Oh.
was, as a matter of
That's
fact.
definitely a place you want to go. And then right next door, Asa Packer's brother, whose name escapes me, lived there as well. And both those places were supposed to be quite active.
I haven't been investigating, but I've been in the courthouse that's at the foot of the steps going up to the mansion. That has some activity.
I would bet it does.
I didn't do it.
Is that a ghost?
Any other questions, comments, concerns, insults? No insults? Boy, I'm doing good tonight. Even with the video problems, no insults? Next month.
we're off.
No, we're not. Well, yeah, no, you're getting to the point. Next month, we're doing instead, we usually do a potpourri where I have the ghost detectives come in. We're gonna do a paranormal roundtable. I got some folks coming in, and I'm gonna put some questions together, and I'm gonna ask for people to send me questions, and I'm gonna invite everybody I possibly can, and we're gonna just talk, or they're gonna just talk, and we're gonna add to their stories. Folks I got coming in, Bob Christopher. Bob is the head of the Ghost Detectives TV show. He also is the co-founder and lead investigator for NEPA Paranormal. He's been investigating for well over 20 years. Along with him, I have Jason and Bob from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot investigations that come every year for us. And they're going to talk a little bit. I got some questions on them. We did a TV show this year on the Jersey Devil. I'll tell you when that's going to be on. That's going to be fun. But anyway, they'll be part of the round table. Frank Sinelli, he was here in January. He talked about human energy and spirit energy. Dr. Spector, he's better known as, he's the founder of Team Spector. He also is an international speaker at paranormal conventions. So, and he's a character. Isabel Clayton, Bella is a member of the Ghost Detectives cast. She's also a member of Team Spector, and she is a sensitive. And she's going to come on board and give us the woman's point of view of paranormal investigating, I'm sure. She also teaches seminars on writing, people that like to write fiction or ghost stories and things like that. She does seminars like that. And Kelly Miller, I don't know if you remember Kelly, but she's the psychic medium that I've brought in 2 or 3 times. She also does investigations with paranormal team. In fact, She's gonna start doing some with us. I talked to her 2 or 3 times this week. But Kelly is the person that gave me some faith in sensitives and those type of people. But we're gonna put together some questions, so if you have some, make sure you email me. If you don't have my email address, I have some cards over there, or put your name on the list. Send me some questions, bring all your friends, and let's pack this place and let's really ask them some tough questions. I promised Bob, though, no questions on crystal skulls. So that means somebody's gonna ask him a question on a crystal skull, just so he can look at it. After it's over, I'll tell you the story about the crystal skulls and Bob. But that's what we're gonna do next month, and that'll wrap up the year, and hopefully the library will want me back next year. They haven't told me no yet, so we'll see. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Have a good night.
All right, Rich.
Yeah.
In regards to next week.
Yes.
Okay, not only is the South Dakota the former home of Governor Simon Snyder.
Right.
Also, the former home of Gettysburg.
Are you